Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's really important, especially if you're working with young kids: strictness in the classroom. Do teachers really need to be strict to get results? Well, in my opinion, not entirely. Of course, there should be boundaries and rules, but of course, these need to be realistic. So let's break down why we don't need to be strict all the time. So I think when we talk about strictness in teaching, maybe we get the picture of rigid rules, a lot of sit stills, be quiets, and a classroom where everything runs like clockwork. But is this really necessary for children to learn and thrive? So I'm going to break this down and look at some reasons why you can absolutely be an effective teacher without being one of these incredibly strict teachers. So firstly, I want to talk about building trust and not fear. When children feel safe and supported, they naturally want to learn. Being overly strict can sort of create this atmosphere of fear, of course, which might get short-term compliance, but it won't actually foster a love of learning. Instead of thinking, I have to do this, or I'll get in trouble, kids should be thinking, I want to do this because I feel confident, I feel safe, I feel valued, and I'm excited to try it. I feel that trust leads to deeper connections, and when students trust you, they're more likely to engage, ask questions, and take those important learning risks that we want them to take, so they build resilience. I also think it's important to have age-appropriate expectations. Now, as I mentioned, I teach kindergarten, so these kids are 4 and 5 years old, and they're still learning to sit still, how to follow instructions, and how to manage their emotions. So expecting them to be perfectly quiet and follow rules, with maybe older students who would have slightly higher expectations, well, this is just unrealistic. They're growing, they're learning, and most of the time their behavior is just going to reflect where they are at developmentally with their age. And this is going to vary from child to child, and each child will develop and grow at their own speed. And I think being strict in these situations might do more harm than good. So instead of strictness, really what they need is guidance, patience, a bit of understanding, and a lot of empathy, while they're still figuring all these things out. Next, let's look at positive reinforcement versus strictness. So positive reinforcement is a very big one for me. Studies have shown that kids respond way better to encouragement rather than punishment. Now that shouldn't be really surprising. So I like to use reward systems. I understand that behaviorism is maybe falling slightly out of fashion, but for my classroom, with my very young learners, giving out stickers and having a reward chart, I find it to be very effective. And these small rewards motivate them. It builds their confidence and it encourages more good behavior that we want to see in a more natural way rather than just barking rules at them. And when kids feel appreciated for their effort, they're more likely to keep putting in effort. I think this is a very important life skill that will follow them through life. Now, strictness, on the other hand, can make kids feel defeated or anxious, and that's really not a recipe for good learning at all. So I think we need to also look at fostering intrinsic motivation. Here's something really important to talk about. This intrinsic motivation. When students behave well or engage in learning because they want to, not because they're afraid of the consequences if they don't, you get much better results. Strictness might force compliance, as I mentioned, but it really is not going to spark that genuine interest in learning. And that's what we're really after for anyway, right, as teachers, that our students have this joyful love of learning and always want to be discovering. When kids are curious and excited, they're naturally motivated. It's all about creating that environment where they feel respected and eager to explore. I think we need to also look at respect versus authority. Being strict can sometimes make students fear you more than they can respect you. But when you're approachable and kind, kids respect you because they value you, not just because you have some power dynamic over them. Respect comes from a place of connection. It's far more powerful than any fear-based authority. Kids who respect their teacher and who are not just there to do as you tell them, are more likely to listen and follow guidance, if you know what I mean. So they respect you because you respect them, and I feel this leads to a better classroom dynamic. I think we also need to look at how we support neurodivergent learners. I'm very happy that in 2024 there is more awareness of neurodiversity. Now, when we think about students with ADHD, autism, or other neurodivergent traits, strictness can be especially harmful. What they need is patience, flexibility, and support. Rigid rules often make them feel like they can't succeed. By being more compassionate and understanding, teachers can create spaces where all students, no matter what their learning needs, feel valued. Every child deserves a chance to learn in a way that works for them, and strictness doesn't leave room for that kind of inclusion in the situation where we have neurodivergent learners, I feel. Finally, I think we obviously need to look at emotional growth and problem solving. If students are afraid to express themselves because they're worried about getting into trouble, they won't learn how to manage those big feelings in healthy ways. Strictness can shut down emotional expression instead of helping other kids learn how to handle situations. By allowing children to express their feelings and guiding them through these emotions and problem solving, we can help them grow emotionally, which in turn makes the classroom a more peaceful and productive area, which is also what we would really love as teachers, I think. So do teachers really need to be strict? I think not entirely. I think there do need to be classroom rules, and of course there need to be consequences for things such as bullying or blatant acts of disrespect. But being kind, patient, and encouraging leads to far better results than this incredibly kind of old-fashioned strict method, especially with younger kids. When we focus on trust, respect, and positive reinforcement, we create classrooms where children feel safe, happy, and eager to learn. So if you found this helpful, make sure to maybe like it, maybe subscribe, and leave some comments as well. It would be great to have a discussion on this.